A new law just went into effect that could get you pulled over, fined, or even arrested. And according to surveys, over 60% of drivers have no idea it exists. If you've been driving the same way you did last year, you might already be breaking the law without even knowing it. Before we dive in, do me one favor: hit that subscribe button right now. Why? Because 90% of drivers miss critical updates like these, and I don't want you to be one of them. The laws I'm about to share could save you hundreds of dollars in fines and keep points off your license. So go ahead, click subscribe, and let's make sure you're protected. Now, here's what just happened. As we rolled into 2026, 10 major driving laws changed across the country. Some of these are federal, some are state level, but all of them affect how you need to drive starting right now. And here's the crazy part: most of these changes happened quietly. No big announcements, no headlines, just new rules that cops are already enforcing. So, if you're still driving like it's 2025, you could be in for a rude awakening at your next traffic stop. Let me break this down for you one law at a time so you know exactly what's changed and what you need to do about it. First thing, the new federal distracted driving law. This is huge. Starting January 2026, there's a nationwide standard for handheld device use while driving. Here's what you need to know. If a cop sees you holding your phone for any reason while your car is in motion, that's an automatic violation. It doesn't matter if you're at a red light. It doesn't matter if you're in slow traffic. If the car is on and you're in the driver's seat with a phone in your hand, you're breaking federal law, the fine. It starts at $250 for your first offense and doubles with each violation after that. But here's the part that really stings. It also adds points to your license, which means your insurance rates are going up too. Now, hands-free is still allowed, but here's the catch. The device has to be mounted or connected through your car system. You can't just put it on speaker and hold it near your face. That still counts as handheld use. So, if you haven't already, get yourself a phone mount and get used to using voice commands. Trust me, it's a lot cheaper than that ticket. Second, the right lane law for highways. This one's rolling out in 23 states and it's causing a lot of confusion. Here's the deal. On any highway with 3 or more lanes, the far right lane is now designated for through traffic only during peak hours. That means if you're not exiting within the next 2 miles, you need to move over to the center or left lanes. The idea is to reduce congestion and make it easier for people to merge onto highways. But here's what most people get wrong. They think this applies all the time. It doesn't. Check your state's specific rules because in most places, this only applies during morning and evening rush hours. Outside, those times you can use the right lane like normal. Violation of this law can result in a fine between $150 and $300 depending on where you are. And yes, cops are watching for this. I've already seen multiple reports of enforcement starting in February. Third, the new speed camera notification requirement. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You know those speed cameras that have been popping up everywhere? Well, several states just passed laws requiring that drivers be notified before they enter a speed camera zone. We're talking about clear signage at least 500 FT before the camera. If you get a ticket from a speed camera and there was no warning sign, you can challenge that ticket and get it dismissed. Here's what you need to do. If you receive a speed camera ticket in the mail, go back to that location if you can and take photos. Look for the warning signs. If they're not there or if they're blocked by trees or other obstacles, document that. Then file a contest with your local traffic court. This law was designed to make speed cameras about safety, not revenue. So the courts are actually taking these challenges seriously. I've already heard of hundreds of tickets being thrown out because cities didn't update their signage in time. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed yet? No? Then you're missing out on updates that could keep you out of legal trouble. Hit that button now, because what's coming next is the law that's catching the most people off guard. The one that most drivers are missing. Number 4, don't miss it. All right, fourth, and this is the big one, the one everyone's missing, the new emergency vehicle yielding law. Here's what changed. When you see emergency vehicles with lights and sirens, you've always had to pull over, right? Well, now there's a specific procedure you have to follow. And if you don't do it exactly right, you're getting a ticket. Here's how it works. When you hear or see emergency vehicles approaching from behind, you must move. to the right side of the road and come to a complete stop. Not slow down, stop completely. And here's the part that's catching everyone. You have to stay stopped until the emergency vehicle has completely passed and is at least 200 ft ahead of you. Most people start moving again as soon as the ambulance or fire truck passes them. That's now illegal. You have to wait until they're a full 200 ft away. How do you judge 200 ft? Think of it as about 4 to 5 car lengths on the highway, or roughly the length of 2-3 of a football field. I know that sounds like a lot, but that's the law now. Cops are not playing around with this one. The fine is steep, $500 in most states, plus mandatory traffic school. Why the change? Because there were too many accidents where drivers started moving again too quickly and ended up hitting emergency vehicles or causing secondary crashes. So now there's a strict protocol. Stop completely. Wait until they're far ahead, then proceed with caution. Fifth, it's a new parking law for electric vehicles. If you drive an EV or you're thinking about getting one, listen up. Many cities and states have now made it illegal to park in an EV charging spot if you're not actively charging. And I'm not talking about just taking up the space. Even if you're plugged in but your car is already fully charged, you can get ticketed. The law says that once your vehicle reaches 100% charge, you have a grace period, usually 10 to 15 minutes, to move your car. After that, you're subject to fines. These fines start at around $100 but can go higher in places with strict EV infrastructure rules. Now, how are they enforcing this? Some charging stations have sensors that communicate with parking enforcement. Others rely on other drivers reporting violations through apps. Either way, if you drive an EV, set a timer or use your car's app to notify you when charging is complete. Don't be that person who leaves their car plugged in all day while it's fully charged. It's not just illegal now, it's also inconsiderate to other EV drivers who need that spot. Sixth, the updated school zone law. School zones have always had reduced speed limits, but here's what's new. In 2026, many states expanded school zone hours and added new penalties for violations. Previously, school zones were usually enforced from around 7 a.m. to 4:00 p.m. on school days. Now, in many places, those hours have been extended to include before and after school programs, which can mean enforcement from as early as 6 a.m. hours to as late as 6 p.m. And here's the kicker. The fines have doubled. If you're caught speeding in a school zone, you're looking at fines starting at $500 plus mandatory points on your license. Some states have even made it a criminal offense if you're going more than 15 mph over the school zone limit. That means potential jail time, not just a fine. The reason for the crackdown, statistics showed that most accidents involving children happened outside traditional school hours during drop-off and pickup times for after-school activities. So now, if you see a school zone sign, slow down and stay alert, even if it's 5:30 in the evening. Those flashing lights might still be active. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney or check with your local DMV for your specific situation, because traffic laws can vary significantly from state to state. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video where I break down the 5 traffic stops mistakes that make cops suspicious. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because that information could save you from a search or even an arrest. 7th, the new Dashcam and recording law. This one's interesting because it varies a lot by state, but the trend is clear. Several states have now passed laws that explicitly allow drivers to record traffic stops and police interactions from their dash cams without penalty. But here's what you need to know. While recording is allowed, there are rules about how you can use that footage. In most states, you can use dash cam footage to defend yourself in traffic court, but you cannot post it on social media without blurring faces and license plates of other people unless you have their consent. If you do, you could be sued for violating privacy laws. The penalties vary, but civil lawsuits can cost you thousands of dollars. So if you have a dash cam, and honestly, you should make sure you understand your state's rules about recording and sharing footage. Use it to protect yourself in court, but be smart about how you share it online. 8th, the new DUI law involving cannabis. As more states have legalized marijuana, The laws around driving under the influence have gotten stricter and more specific. In 2026, several states have implemented per se limits for THC in your bloodstream, similar to the 0.08% blood alcohol limit for alcohol. Here's what that means. If you're pulled over and a blood test shows THC above a certain level, usually 5 nanogs per milliliter, you can be charged with DUI even if you don't appear impaired. And here's the tricky part. THC stays in your system much longer than alcohol. You could have smoked days ago and still test positive. Now you can challenge these charges, and some states allow you to present evidence that you weren't actually impaired at the time of driving, but it's an uphill battle. The best advice, if you use cannabis, even legally, don't drive for at least 24 hours after use. And if you're a regular user, be aware that you could test positive even when you're completely sober. It's not fair, but that's the reality of how these laws are written right now. Ninth, the new teen driver law. If you have teenagers who are driving or about to get their license, this one's for you. Several states have now extended the restrictions on teen drivers, even after they get their full license. Here's what changed. In many states, drivers under 18 now face a mandatory nighttime curfew, even with a full license. That means no driving between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless they're going to or from work, a school event, or a family emergency. And they have to carry proof of where they're going. If they're pulled over during curfew hours without a valid reason, the ticket goes to the parents, and it can be expensive, $300 or more for a first offense. Additionally, passenger restrictions have been tightened. Some states now limit teen drivers to one non-family passenger under 21, even after they've had their license for over a year. The reason teen driver accidents happen most often late at night with multiple passengers in the car. So, if you're a parent, make sure your teen knows these rules. And if you're a teen driver watching this, understand that these laws are designed to keep you safe, even if they feel restrictive. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the 50,000 drivers who get these updates first. Click subscribe because laws keep changing and you need to stay informed. 10th, the new autonomous vehicle law. Even if you don't own a self-driving car, this law affects you. In 2026, multiple states have passed regulations that clarify what happens when an autonomous vehicle is involved in an accident. Here's the bottom line. If you're hit by a self-driving car, the liability now falls on the company that made the autonomous system, not the person sitting in the driver's seat. But here's the catch. That only applies if the car was in full autonomous mode at the time of the accident. If the human driver had any control, or if the car had issued warnings that were ignored, then the human driver can still be held liable. What does this mean for you? If you're ever in an accident with an autonomous vehicle, you need to document everything. Get the police report. Find out if the car was in autonomous mode. Request data logs from the vehicle if possible. This is new legal territory, and insurance companies are still figuring out how to handle these claims. So, protect yourself by gathering as much evidence as possible at the scene. This information could literally expire as new updates roll out through 2026. Subscribe now because the next video explains exactly what you need to do if you're pulled over under these new laws. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. So, here's what you need to remember. 10 major driving laws changed in 2020-16, and most drivers have no idea. From the federal handheld device banned, the new emergency vehicle rules. These aren't suggestions, they're laws that are being enforced right now. Number 4, that emergency vehicle yielding law is the one catching the most people off G-guard. So remember, stop completely and wait until they're 200 feet ahead before you start moving again. Look, I spent hours researching this stuff, so you don't have to. The least you can do is hit subscribe to support the channel and make sure you never miss an update. Because here's the thing, these laws are designed to keep everyone safer on the road, but they only work if you know about them. And with the way things are going, more changes are coming throughout 2026. So, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's make sure you're always driving legally and safely. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we cover exactly what to say and what not to say when you get pulled over. but don't miss it.